The movie opens with a woman named Nina Sayers dancing with a man dressed in black. She wakes up and tells her mother, Erica Sayers, that she had a dream about dancing the role of the White Swan. At breakfast, Erica notices a small wound on Nina's back. On the train to work, Nina spots a mysterious woman she can't recognize. At the dance studio, the other dancers gossip about a colleague named Beth while getting ready. A new girl, Lily, arrives, sparking curiosity among the dancers. During rehearsals, their instructor, Thomas Leroy, explains they will be performing a ballet about a swan with a seductive twin, the Black Swan. He announces he needs a solo dancer who can embody both roles. Thomas taps a few dancers on the shoulder, indicating they are to attend scheduled rehearsals, while those not tapped should meet him at the principal's studio at 5. After rehearsals, Nina sees a frustrated Beth smashing a glass in one of the preparation rooms. Nina enters the room, picks up a lipstick, and slips it into her pocket. Nina is rehearsing in front of Thomas, but he tells her that while her performance is perfect for the White Swan, it lacks the passion needed for the Black Swan. He asks her to show him the Black Swan, but as she begins to dance, Lily arrives, causing Nina to stop abruptly. Thomas introduces Lily to the other dancers, mentioning she is from San Francisco. Disappointed with Nina's performance, he dismisses her. On her way home, Nina encounters a woman who looks exactly like her. Once home, she breaks down in tears and seeks comfort from her mother. Determined, Nina rehearses in front of a mirror, but accidentally injures her toe. As her mother tends to her wound, Nina resolves to return to the studio and convince Thomas to give her another chance. The next day, Nina confronts Thomas. He insists that she embodies the White Swan perfectly, but has already chosen Veronica for the role. Desperate, Nina declares her desire for perfection. In a sudden and intense moment, Thomas kisses her. Shocked and confused, Nina bites his tongue and walks away, confused by the encounter. As Nina prepares for the next rehearsal, she keeps an eye on Veronica and congratulates her. The role of the Swan Queen, who portrays both the White Swan and the Black Swan, is about to be announced. All the dancers rush to see the posted name. Veronica, thinking she has been selected, returns furious and curses at Nina. Nina checks the list and is overjoyed to see her name listed as the Swan Queen. Overwhelmed with happiness, Nina goes to the bathroom to call her mother and share the good news. As she leaves the bathroom, she notices the word whore written on the mirror and quickly erases it. At home, after taking a bath, Nina discovers her back is bleeding. Her mother surprises her with a celebratory cake. When she cuts a large slice, Nina protests, saying it's too much and that her stomach hurts. Hurt by Nina's reaction, she threatens to throw the cake away, but Nina quickly apologizes, and they proceed to celebrate together. The next day, Nina continues to rehearse, focusing on the Black Swan under Thomas's direction. He then leaves her to practice with another female instructor, who helps her understand the role better. During a break, Nina watches the other dancers rehearse, particularly noticing Lily, whose performance, though imprecise, is filled with passion. Thomas points out that Lily's authenticity is what makes her stand out. Nina is assigned to use Beth McIntyre's old room and receives flowers along with an invitation from Thomas to a party. She attends the elegant party with Thomas, where he announces Beth's retirement, praising her as an inspiration to many dancers, and reveals that Nina will be the next Swan Queen. In the bathroom, Nina discovers a new wound on her fingernail. She peels off the skin, only to see the wound mysteriously heal. Lily then barges into the bathroom, hands her purse to Nina, removes her panties, and asks if she can stay. Nina declines and leaves. Later, Thomas invites Nina to his place for a drink. As she walks, she notices a statue with black wings. Suddenly, a drunken Beth confronts Nina, accusing her of sleeping with Thomas to get the role of Swan Queen and calling her a whore. Thomas intervenes to prevent the situation from escalating. When they reach Thomas's place, he asks Nina about her past relationships and if she is romantically involved with anyone. When Nina arrives home, her mother helps her undress and notices that Nina's wound is not healing. She attributes it to the stress from Nina's new role. Later that night, Nina remembers Thomas's words and begins to touch herself, seeking comfort, but stops suddenly when she realizes her mother is sleeping in a chair nearby. The next day, Nina returns to the studio for more practice. She learns that Beth has been in an accident. Outside the studio, she discusses it with Thomas, who suggests that Beth might have harmed herself on purpose. Nina worries that their disagreement the previous night may have contributed to Beth's actions, but Thomas reassures her it was just an accident and urges her to stay focused on her work. Determined, Nina visits Beth in the hospital, bringing her flowers. She is shocked to see the extent of Beth's injuries and quickly leaves the room. At home, she finds her mother crying while painting. Nina goes to bed, and later, her mother visits her in her room. The next day, Nina returns to rehearsal, but Thomas is still unsatisfied and pushes her to dance more fiercely. He becomes her dance partner, trying to teach her, but his touch makes her uncomfortable, as he suggests it should be her seducing him, not the other way around. Nina feels uneasy when he leaves. Alone in the studio, Nina breaks down in tears. Lily arrives and compliments her performance, teasing her about having a crush on their instructor. After leaving the studio, Nina goes home and takes a bath. As she seduces herself, she notices blood in the water and sees a hallucination of herself staring back at her. When she gets out of the bath, she sees that the wound on her finger has reappeared, and her back wound is worsening. Despite rehearsing repeatedly, Thomas remains dissatisfied with Nina's performance. He reveals that Lily told him Nina was upset, which angers Nina. She confronts Lily, accusing her of betraying her trust. Lily denies it, explaining they simply ran into each other and had a casual conversation. Nina goes home, and her mother questions whether Thomas is taking physical advantage of her. She reveals she had to give up her dreams of being a dancer when she became pregnant with Nina. Their conversation is interrupted by a knock at the door. It's Lily. At first, Mother tells Lily that Nina isn't home, but Nina decides to see who it is. Lily apologizes for the earlier misunderstanding and invites Nina out for a drink. Despite her mother's protests, Nina decides to go. During their night out, they talk about Thomas, and Lily offers Nina a capsule of drugs, insisting she take it. Lily gives Nina a black lingerie set, which Nina puts on. When she returns, Lily is with 2 other men. Nina tells Lily she wants to go home soon since she has a performance the next day. Lily spikes Nina's drink, and after consuming it, Nina begins to feel the effects of the drug. As they dance wildly at the club, Nina finds herself kissing a random guy. Later, Nina and Lily take a cab home, and Lily starts touching Nina, but Nina pushes her hand away. They arrive at Nina's home to find her mother waiting for them. Drunk, Nina tells her mother she had been with 2 men from the bar. Her mother slaps her, but Nina grabs Lily, and they run to her room, locking the door behind them. They make love, and at one point, Nina sees her reflection in Lily, but Lily calms her down, and they spend the night together. Nina wakes up late for her performance, and angrily asks her mother why she didn't wake her. She declares she's moving out and rushes to the studio, where she finds Lily rehearsing her Swan Queen piece. Nina goes straight to Thomas, who instructs her to warm up for the dance. After Lily finishes rehearsing, she approaches Nina. Nina explains that she overslept and asks why Lily didn't wake her up. Lily reveals she never stayed over at Nina's place and jokingly asks if Nina fantasized about making love to her, even teasingly asking if she was good in Nina's fantasy. Nina begins rehearsing, but Thomas is unimpressed with her performance. Later, she is seen vomiting in the washroom. Frustrated, she throws away her teddy bears before trying to sleep. During the final act rehearsal, Thomas instructs Nina to jump onto a mattress, mimicking the Black Swan's suicide in the story. Nina reluctantly jumps, and Thomas is pleased, giving her a thumbs up. As they take her measurements for the costume, Nina briefly sees a different personality in the mirror. She then notices Lily being measured for a costume as well. Lily explains she is the backup dancer in case something happens to Nina. In disbelief, Nina rushes to Thomas, accusing him of planning to give her role to Lily. Thomas dismisses her concerns, telling her to focus on her performance. Nina continues rehearsing late into the night, ignoring the pianist's advice to rest before the big day. While practicing, she sees a distorted reflection of herself in the mirror, moving out as if it has a life of its own. Suddenly, the lights go out, and Nina rushes backstage where she finds Lily and Thomas making love, with Thomas's face transforming into a monstrous visage. Horrified, Nina flees to the hospital to visit Beth. At the hospital, Nina brings Beth a letter, and returns the items she had taken from Beth's dressing room. She expresses her desire to be perfect like Beth, but Beth suddenly stabs herself with a nail file. In a terrifying moment, Nina sees herself in Beth's place, stabbing her face. Panicking, Nina rushes to the elevator and notices the nail file in her hand before dropping it. Back at home, Nina washes her hands and hallucinates a bloodied Beth in her house. She vomits in the bathroom and hears the paintings her mother made talking to her. She sees her reflection again, which turns out to be her mother, who asks if something is wrong. Nina locks herself in her room, noticing a feather on her skin as her bones begin to deform. Her mother breaks in, trying to help, but Nina throws her out and locks the door again. Nina's leg bones crack and she hits her head on the bed, fainting. When she wakes up, her mother is watching over her. She tells Nina she has called the studio to inform them that Nina won't be performing in the Swan Lake show, insisting the role is destroying her. Enraged, Nina rushes to the studio, finding the dancers already preparing. She heads to the dressing room, where Thomas informs her that he has asked Lily to take over the role. Nina insists she is ready and will perform. Before going on stage, Nina notices her toes fused. Despite this, she dances the role of the White Swan gracefully. However, distracted and emotional, she falls during her performance and starts to cry. Thomas is dismayed, but Nina claims her partner dropped her on purpose. Back in the dressing room, Nina finds Lily applying makeup. Lily teases Nina, suggesting she perform the Black Swan role. In a fit of frustration, Nina pushes Lily through a mirror and stabs her with a shard of glass. She drags Lily's body into a corner. Nina returns to the stage to perform the Black Swan piece. As she dances, her skin transforms and feathers start to grow from her arms. The performance ends with roaring applause and she kisses Thomas backstage. Back in her dressing room, Nina covers Lily's blood with a towel. When Lily knocks on the door to congratulate her, Nina checks under the towel, finding no blood or body. Nina then discovers a wound on herself with a glass shard embedded in it. She retouches her makeup and returns to the stage for the final act. With blood pouring from her stomach, she sees her mother in the audience and leaps onto the mattress as the show concludes. The movie ends with Thomas and others rushing to her, finding blood on her body. Nina, with her last breath, tells Thomas she feels perfect